This is my Variegated Philodendron Domesticum, and in today's video we are chopping it down. Welcome to my channel, Denise here from Tropical Seductions. Make sure to subscribe, and for more plant related content follow on Instagram at Tropical Seductions. The Philodendron Domesticum variegata was a wishlist plant of mine for many years, and when the prices dropped in 2022, I finally got my hands on one. And it had a decent size amount of leaves, like 5 leaves, and I put it on a plank right away. But for some reason, the plant still grew leggy, I guess due to light issues, and also the top part has little variegation. So I decided I don't like the look of it, I'm not happy, which makes me neglect plants, and this plant doesn't deserve it. So the only choice that I really have is to cut the plant down. I am not worried at all, because if you look at the stem, you see all these amazing variegation on the stem throughout. Really beautiful stripes of variegation. So again, my guess really is that the plant growing leggy and tall, and also not putting out bigger leaves, as well as the lack of variegation, is really due to the lack of light. I keep this plant in a super airy soil medium. It's orchid bark and it's perlite, and it really loves it. It has pushed out, I think, around 8 leaves since I got it, which was in May or June of 2022, and now we have in November. So basically 5 months. So usually I'm very stressed if I have to cut, like big plants. But in this case, because I'm really not happy, it just doesn't look cute. I think starting over and adding cuttings into the lower part of the lower part of the pot would make this plant grow like really nice. And then I'm gonna add a wood plank back in, and I'm gonna sell some of the cuttings, and I'm going to be gifting cuttings to some friends who don't have the variegated domesticum. So overall, this is just going to be a really amazing experience. I'm able to gift something, I'm able to make some money, and I'm able to make this plant look more beautiful and nicer. I'm using a regular scissor. Don't judge, I'm just gonna use it. I never had any issues with cutting plants with a normal scissors, so I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm starting with the top cut, and I'm going to leave the two not so variegated leaves, and there's a new one already coming. Just to make this easier, there is a variegation on the stem, but the leaves just put out, like both of them, just a tiny bit of variegation. So before this gets a routine, I have to cut it. As always, I'm cutting at least 2 inches under the area roots, or if you have a node, then at least 2 inches. I like to give more if I can, just in case there is some rotting happening, that you have stem left to cut the rot off. I will be doing water propagation for these. You can see the variegation on the leaf. It's just like a tiny bit. Like I said, you saw on the stem too, there is variegation, and on the newest leaf that hasn't hardened yet, there is just also a tiny bit variegation on the tip of the leaf, but the stem has variegation, stripes of variegation on it. So we will see. This one, the top cut, is actually the one that I'm going to keep, because I want to see how this plant evolves, if it's going to push out new variegation very easily, or if this plant is going to make me fight for it. I think I can say I've tried almost every form of a propagation method, and I went back to water propagating. It's the easiest one for me. You have water at home, and you have some kind of vessel. If it's a drinking glass, if it's like an old container, so you will have everything you need at home, and it basically costs you nothing if you upcycle. And that's why I choose water propagation. I don't have issues with rotting. I can't remember like to ever having issues with plants rotting in water, I change the water once a week, and I do add a drop or two of fertilizer to my water propagations. I love using the Velcro tape, that is the green tape that I'm removing. I will have it linked in the description below. You can find it on Amazon or in like your local plant stores and big box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's. And I like it because you can reuse them over and over again. So I will not be trashing them. They are getting in my little toolbox, and I will be reusing them later. Like I said, because of also the weather and the season, there's now less natural light coming into my home. I really think that this was the issue, because you can see these leaves, they were grown in my care and they have beautiful variegation. They're super healthy. So I'm just repeating the steps, cutting, adding water to vessels, and then going to add all the cuttings into the glass vessels. And here a little slow-mo for the cutting. So the Philodendron Domesticum has like these different layers of variegation. So it's not just a green and a white, or a green and a yellow, or a green and a green. It has, you can see, it has like all these different kinds of shades of green and even yellow. You will see it here that there is like this one almost completely yellow leaf. It does have a little sprinkle of green in it, so it's like really stunning variegation, this hot yellow and these different kinds of greens. And it's really beautiful, really beautiful plant, and I can highly recommend getting one. You will not regret it. So the internodes, that is the space between one leaf to the next leaf, are getting shorter as I move down to the plant, because these are the leaves that came out during the summer where they got the most light. So in another clear sign what the issue is here for this plant. So I am working with less space for propagating. That's why I'm making sure to not make a straight cut. I'm making an angle cut to have more surface, if that makes sense. I would say the leaves are anywhere between like 7 to like 12 inches, and that's just small, because the Philodendron Domesticum can produce some really big leaves. I mean like 10 times as big as the ones that you see right here. This picture and this plant belongs to the Shoto family. I visited the greenhouse and did a whole video about them, so check them out. So one more cutting, and then basically the lower part is what the plant looked like when I received it, and all the other leaves came out in my care. So I'm taking the last cutting and I'm removing the wood plank. I get a lot of questions about wood planks and rotting. So this wood plank is cedar, and it was in the pot for 5 months during the summer, so heavy watering, and you saw there was absolutely no rot. I will link the exact ones in the description. I get them from Home Depot. I link them, and you can order them online and then pick them up at Home Depot. So this one is staying with me, and I'm actually going to put the cutting back into the pot. It has a huge stem on the upper part. I saw a note there, so I just kept it this way. The stem is so long that you could be like, oh Denise, why not just cut it one more time and then just grow the stem in some perlite? I don't want to do that. I never grow just stem without leaves, cuttings. So I'm just gonna put it in there, and if there is another node that will activate, then win. If not, then I don't care, basically. I don't have to do much because there is this empty spot where the wood plank was before, so I just placed the cutting right there, and I'm going to cover it with a perlite. It's the only thing that I have basically at the moment, and it's going to do perfectly well. You saw the soil medium before. I'm going to show you a close-up again. So it is a orchid bark and perlite mix anyways, and now I'm just covering the stem where the area roots are from the cutting with more perlite. and I'm going to make sure like the perlite and the stem are going to connect by watering it a little bit, and then I'm just going to continue with the watering schedule that this Philodendron Domesticum had to begin with. So you can see that the plant gave me 8 cuttings, one that I put already in the pot, and then these 7, while the top cut has 2 leaves. So this plant is a fast grower. From May to November, it basically gave me 9 freaking leaves. I love water propagating because you can follow along and see the root growth, and you can also see if there's anything wrong with the water and the root, and you can react immediately if you see root rot. I will be linking 2 of my favorite YouTube videos that I made up here. Make sure to check them out. Subscribe to the channel for more plant related content. I have over 30 videos up already and many more planned. And this was Denise and my Philodendron Domesticum.